The world is finally wisening up to Nvidia's plan of our unupgradable future. Take a look at what Jensen had to say at Computex this year.
A new product family for us. Every single generation of architecture, we will have a desktop, a laptop, a workstation, and then a desktop, a laptop, and workstation. And the thing that I am just incredibly pleased, incredibly honored, is that 100% of the world's PC industry has joined us to reinvent the PC. A new line, a new beginning.
That's right, desktop, laptop, and workstation. As you can know, all of those are unupgradable. Nvidia's plan for the future is to sell you the end product bundled with soldered RAM and maybe soldered storage. Could be upgradable in that aspect, but they do not want you to be able to change out these chips or the memory. Every time you upgrade, you have to buy the whole new thing again. That's Nvidia's plan. Let's talk about it.
So you finally picked up one of those new RTX 50 series graphics cards, and I bet you didn't know they have support for DisplayPort 2.1. This is a new standard that totally gives up way more bandwidth than the previous 1.4 ancient standard. And really, if you want to get the most out of your graphics card, you got to be using this, especially if you're on Nvidia. And honestly, if you own an RTX 5090, if you've dropped the money on a very expensive next-gen graphics card, you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not buy yourself a new cable. And that's where Silklin comes in. They sent me this amazing DisplayPort 2.1 cable. It has this brilliant nylon sheathing that is very durable, and the cool thing about their cables is they come in longer lengths than typically pretty much any other cables I could find with the DisplayPort 2.1 standard. They're VESA certified, so they're guaranteed to run at the VESA certified DisplayPort 2.1 specs like 4K 240 without display stream compression. They sent me this 6.6 feet cable, and I can confirm that it does work with DisplayPort 2.1 protocol. This is without display stream compression, 4K 240 Hertz at 10-bit color. It is glorious. I'm using RTX 5070 Ti here, but I have used it before with a 5090, and yeah, it works really well, guys. So stop limiting your graphics card and get one of these Silklin cables today by clicking the link in the description below. Let's get back to the video.
One of the scariest parts of this keynote was when Nvidia finally got to talking about desktop computers, and we didn't see any sort of handheld graphics cards in sight. What we saw was a desktop workstation that has soldered chips all on the board, soldered memory. And I'd talked about this 1 year ago in one of my videos, just saying like the future for Nvidia is totally and utterly unupgradable. They want to sell you this full end product with all of their margin baked in. They don't want you to be able to switch out components or buy components from somebody else. They want you sourcing everything straight from them. So we're gonna have to talk today exactly what that means for the future of DIY when it comes to Nvidia products, because there may not be one. Now, I will say they did show a couple of graphics cards and some images here and there, but I have to say, I don't think that is the main focus of Nvidia going forward. It really just seems like they're going with soldered chips. Nvidia is going this direction simply because they have a huge level of margin that is untapped. Okay, so if you're buying a PC, right, only half of the cost of that PC, which it's crazy that it's even half for one component, is from the graphics card, where Nvidia kind of wants their margin to be baked in the whole computer price, right? That's what Apple gets. Apple gets margin off the whole computer, and Nvidia just wants to be the next greatest thing, better than Apple, actually. What Nvidia wants is their 50%, 60% margin to be baked in to the entire price of the whole computer. They get that right now with graphics cards. If it costs them, $1,000 to build an RTX 5080, which it doesn't, but let's just say it does, they'll be able to sell that for $1,600 all day. And that's kind of what they're doing here with the RTX Spark, with these desktop components that are the whole computer just soldered to the board. They want that 50% margin, but not only on one part, not only on the graphics card, but on the whole computer itself. So with them diving into ARM, with them diving into the soldered components, they'll buy memory straight from Micron, straight from SK Hynix, straight from Samsung, and then they'll add their 50% margin on top of the memory they just bought, increasing prices even further and allowing them to make even more revenue. If you have upgradable RAM, you could buy that from Micron, you could buy it from Samsung, you know, other memory distributors like G.Skill, and you'll be able to buy kits directly from them instead of buying it from Nvidia. And Nvidia makes no margin when you do a sale like that. And they're just simply not about that game. They have to increase revenue more and more to satisfy their stockholders, and that's the future of Nvidia computing, sadly. Is I'm not saying that, you know, discrete RTX graphics cards are going away next generation, but in a couple generations from now, if you guys buy these products that they're putting on the market here and don't vote with your wallet, DIY graphics cards may very well be a thing of the past for consumers. For those that need modularity with their workstation setups, sure, they'll be able to slot in PCIe cards, but for low-end users, Nvidia is just gonna give us the way of the APU, with all of their margin baked in if you guys buy these products up. I'm just saying. So right now, I think this is a very important moment to vote with your wallet. If you value DIY, if you value interchanging out CPUs, GPUs, memory, SSDs, don't buy these soldered products. And I know it's gonna be difficult because, hey, they are gonna be more efficient. They are going to be a little bit more clean and less clutter and less cords, and yeah, they're just going to be a little bit more seamless solution, but I'm telling you, they're gonna be so expensive with the margin baked in, and it cuts off your autonomy. It makes you reliant solely on Nvidia when you buy these kind of products. So just saying, right now I think Nvidia is looking for a way out of DIY, and they're trying to bake their margin into these products. And you as a hardware enthusiast, you just have to reject it. What about RTX Spark? What does this mean? The end of x86 CPUs, especially in mobile? This is kind of an Nvidia M1 moment with the RTX Spark, and this chip has been out for a little while now. I think it was made like 2 years ago, but it released last year with the, whatever you want to call it, Project Spark little box they had. And hey, it's really not that good for AI as far as I understand it, just because it has a paltry 300 gigabytes of memory bandwidth to the APU, which for an APU, it's not the worst thing I've seen, but it's just not that really quick compared to discrete solutions. So you're gonna get low tokens per second with this thing, but it can have very high memory capacities, allowing you to, hey, run those high parameter models that would be pretty cool to do locally. Although I think this RTX Spark isn't that big of a deal right now. If they're able to get gaming widely working on this chip on ARM on Windows, it spells kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say the end, but very bad news for x86 CPUs on mobile, just because I'm not sure if ARM is more efficient. This thing would kind of prove, hey, is ARM more efficient? We've seen Snapdragon versus Intel x86, and it's like, yeah, in certain scenarios that can be more efficient, but I don't think it's a home run. When you see the Apple efficiency, I really think that comes down to their OS just being amazing and tuned to the metal for that silicon, because let's just face it, Windows kind of sucks, especially for bloat, especially for random bouts of power consumption. I just think that the whole ARM versus x86 thing, especially after Lunar Lake and Panther Lake, it's not as big of a deal as we thought before. I think x86 can be almost just as efficient as ARM. It's just a matter of, hey, what's the OS doing in the background and how is it effectively using the software? Right now, I think we're software bottlenecks, not hardware. We need more optimization, okay? But looking at the differences between x86 and ARM, x86 is a very older, more legacy ISA. It uses more instruction sets. It has to do more instructions in each cycle than ARM, in my understanding. It's just a heavier ISA. It's probably weighed down by decades and decades of things that maybe we don't really use anymore, that just haven't been culled from the system for compatibility's sake. And ARM is a little bit more agile. It's newer, and it's not locked behind a proprietary license that only AMD and Intel own. So I can see why, hey, you would want ARM to catch on, because it's just a more open ISA than x86, but it's not completely open source. You have to pay for ARM still. RISC-V would be a really cool thing if we could all go to that, but that doesn't really seem to be catching on these days. no, I don't think it's a matter of ARM versus x86. I really think this is a matter of Nvidia versus Intel and AMD. And that's why I'm kind of thinking, hey, Nvidia might just take the crown here, because Nvidia doesn't like to lose. They almost never lose, and I don't think they're gonna lose here. You just kind of have to vote with your wallet. If this thing is $4 to $5 grand, soldered memory, soldered chip, I don't think you should pick this up. It is what it is, you know. I'd rather you pick up a Mac chip than this, just because those are tried and true. You know that software is going to be supported for a long time. And if this thing doesn't pan out, I don't see why Microsoft and Nvidia wouldn't just ditch the optimizations and the support for this thing long term, just because, hey, there's other things they're working on, like the AI race, for example, that's just a little bit more important. But the RTX Spark is part of Nvidia's plan to bake their margin into everything. With this, they're cutting out Intel in the CPU manufacturing and the board design and all these things, and they're taking on all of that with their chip. And then sure, they're still partnering with the likes of Dell, with the likes of Asus to make these laptops and designs. But I'm just saying, like, they're getting the memory on there, they're getting the chip, and they're just getting much more revenue per system sold with this approach that they're doing right here, where they just kind of take on the whole chip. And I know MediaTek has helped develop the CPU portion, but I still think Nvidia has taken a pretty penny with the RTX Spark here. So our future of unupgradable desktops, laptops, and high-end workstations lies in front of you. We're at a fork in the road right now. Do you want DIY components that are upgradable, that are interchangeable and have longevity? Or do you want something that's a little bit more sleek, a little smaller, maybe some slightly more power efficient, but costs twice the price and is unupgradable and has all of Nvidia's margins right baked into the product? I mean, the choice is up to you. Do you want to support this product, or do you want to support the future of PC DIY? Okay, so in my opinion, I think that we're going to see more and more APUs, not only from Nvidia, but from Intel and also AMD. And the future of DIY is looking grim, boys. I think that even on desktop, 5-10 years from now, people won't be buying discrete graphics cards. They're just gonna be buying a little APU chip that can game, all right? And it's gonna run large language models. It's gonna be able to do all these things. And another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to RTX Spark is the death of the NPU. Wow, that was fast. It only took a few years, and there's like no NPU on this thing as far as I understand it. Maybe there's one, but it doesn't do anything because it's all runs on the GPU. The GPU's got way more tops than these NPUs got. And I know NPUs, hey, they're a little bit more power efficient, but are they really per top? Are they really any more power efficient? It doesn't seem like they are, especially when they're never actually used. If they're idling, taking up watts on the die and they're never used, they're definitely not more efficient than a GPU that actually does work. So that's my thoughts with that. I think the NPUs, unless we just get a full software support and optimizations with these things, and they get more performance, because the amount of tops these things produce for how big the die size is, I think isn't that good, to be honest with you, that they're kind of dead in the water. And as far as I understand it, there is a neural processing engine of some sorts in RTX CUDA cores already. Not in CUDA cores, but in the SMs. There's a tensor processing unit that has, you know, neural processing like properties from my understanding. So for all intents and purposes, the discrete or the integrated NPU that we have on CPUs right now, it almost just seems like it was a scam. And I think we all kind of got that from the beginning from it, that it almost just seems like, hey, it was a waste of die size altogether. You should just scrap these things. It was a PSYOP from Nvidia and Microsoft to make you waste die space on your CPU designs, AMD and Intel. Sorry about that. Apple, now to be fair, Apple makes good use of the NPU because they have hardware and software working together, and they design their software around the hardware they produce, where Microsoft doesn't care what Intel or AMD makes. They kind of just do whatever they want. They don't really care about their OS at all, as far as I can tell. It's getting bad. And you asked me 2 years ago, will Linux ever catch on? I was telling you, no. Like, I didn't believe in Linux, and to be fair, I don't really use Linux still, but now I can see a path forward for Linux compute because Microsoft has just been dropping the ball day after day. But yeah, the NPU for consumers right now, personal compute, it just seems to be a waste of die space. I wouldn't really purchase a component based on its NPU prowess, to be honest with you. With all that said, I just wanted to say the choice is yours. Do you want to choose DIY upgradability, or do you want to choose our soldered overlord future of 60–70% margins baked into your product and no upgradability? So the choice is yours. So let me know what you think. Silicon Steak signing out.